Look, I know I missed the last chapter, but I promise it was for a good reason. Now please, stop giving me that look, Sue! After 5 chapters since her introduction, we finally got our Sheena-focused chapter. This calls for at least 2 confetti pop-offs. This one showing just the extent of her clinginess. Just how clingy? Well, that's where this review comes in.
I'm looking all over for you. I gotta get out of here pronto. I got a stage 5 clinger.
I need more time.
Did you hear what I just said to you? Stage 5, virgin, clinger? Let's go. I'm gonna start the car. I'm serious. Let's go.
I'm Moonlight150 from A Slice of Gaming, and this is my review of the latest 100 Girlfriends chapter, Chapter 174, Usa-chan is Clingy. As I say, I won't be going over everything in this chapter, as I encourage you to read the chapter for yourself and support the official releases as well as the fan scanlations that are being done online. Thanks to those who do these, you are all the real heroes. The chapter opens up with what life is like with Usa-chan now in the family, fully enveloped by her prone to being extremely lonely, chatting it up with Rentaro as much as possible. And for those unaware, no, she's just not saying his name repeatedly like it shows in the manga. This is a writing shorthand to convey excessive talking and babbling. She probably starts a lot of her sentences with this, but instead of filling in these bubbles with gibberish or putting in actual dialogue, the writer went with the more comedic route of just having the name being repeated over and over again. It's just a way to convey that she is a babbling chatterbox of a person. But because Rentaro is him, he doesn't mind. In fact, he loves it. Cut to a few days later and Rentaro is sick yet again, but this time not at the hands of Kasuri and her drugs. He appears to have caught a cold, a serious cold at that. Boy, I hope it's not a cold caused by the Sirius Corporation that has made a few appearances in this manga. That would be devastating. And doctors are saying he shouldn't be around anyone for a week. Also, I want to point out that we have no official confirmation that Rentaro's family has a group chat. I think it was kind of implied before, but it's nice to get actual confirmation. That would be one fascinating group chat to read. But now I have a question. How many people can be in a group chat? So apparently we know now that Rentaro's family uses WhatsApp for their shared conversations. With Rentaro now out, the girlfriends gather to brainstorm what they could do to help him make him feel better. And I love the dig at Kasuri here for being part of the reason that Rentaro has now been sick for the past 4 chapters straight. We then dive into Usa-chan's insecurities about trying not to bother anyone, something that most people with social anxiety could relate to. She wanting to be involved, but is just unaware just how much is too much, as she has some trauma from her past of annoying everyone around her, much like she mentioned in her introductory chapter. Mimi catches on and asks Usa-chan if she would like to brainstorm with everyone. After hearing her doubts and fears, Mimi decides to take it upon herself to help her not feel so lonely while Rentaro is away. Also, this panel here makes me really wish they dived more into how long she has been watching and wanting to be a part of the family. Granted, the passage of time is an anomaly in this franchise that I have been meaning to talk about in a separate video all by itself, so maybe it's for the best it remains a mystery for now. Cut to a montage of Usa-chan obsessing and spending almost every waking moment talking with Mimimi. But before we move on, in this giant comedic montage, the writer and or illustrator decided to drop a bit of character lore here in the corner. We see that Mimimi lives in an apartment above a restaurant, and not just some restaurant, but a tofu-based restaurant, Tofu Utsugushi Sugi. So her family owns and operates a tofu restaurant. What a random and interesting bit of character lore to randomly drop in this corner of a giant spread. But this also explains that random tofu tangent Mimimi went on in chapter 112 on the stage as she stalled for time. Here we all thought she was talking about that because she would be an expert on all the best foods for your beauty. Nope, turns out she comes from a tofu culinary lineage. I hope this is expanded upon a bit more in the future. I'd really like to see more homes and parents of the girlfriends. Mimimi is having trouble keeping up with taking care of Usa-chan, but wants to continue and comes up with a new tactic of mimicking her enthusiasm, which proves to be just as exhausting if not more. Usa-chan notices Mimimi forcing herself to be around her and runs off sad, thinking she may be pushing Mimimi too far like her past friends. Upset because she thinks she has failed, Mimimi turns to the family for help, to which, because of course it's this manga, everyone is happy and raring to help. Also, I need to point out a few things in this shot. I think the heights of characters are just thrown out the window most of the time. Look at Rin being so much taller than Matsuri even though they're both middle schoolers. And damn, look how short Tama is. Shorter than these middle schoolers and she's 21. If making content was my full-time job, I would totally spend the time researching everyone's heights and how consistent or inconsistent it tends to be in this manga. This sounds like a good segue to say to make sure to like and subscribe, so maybe one day I could make a wild video like that. But daydreams aside, let's move on. They confront Usa-chan and talk to her as if they are jealous that she's been spending all her time with Mimimi and not anyone else. So everyone asks Usa-chan to hang out all at once. And I just want to point out poor Yamame here. She has faded so much to the background that they didn't even give her a face in this shot. Cut to another montage of Usa-chan running around and spending time with everyone. Sure, it's cute and funny, but my favorite part is the new lore that we see sprinkled in here, such as pairings of characters and where they are. Also, we seem to get a throwback appearance to what looks like Anonymous Friend A from Chapter 1. The hair certainly matches. Man, Rentaro really did cut him out of his life after their conversation in Chapter 1. Anyway, let's run down the list. We have all the characters who share classes, but let's point out the more interesting ones. Like we see the friendship between Akko and Sue is still going strong, Tama out of her cat costume at her part-time job. Part-time job. Himika by herself, which I find kind of interesting. Our first look inside the teacher's lounge and that Momoha and Ms. Natty sit next to one another. First look at Aira actually at her college for the first time in this series. Yaku still spends her days still sitting in Hahari's office while everyone is in class, with Mei and Mai attending her as her maids. And as much as they bicker and butt heads, it's kind of nice to see Kurumi and Momiji just casually hanging out. Although I do remember they do share a class, so... We find Usa-chan exhausted from her day of running around to spend time with everyone, but happy. She encounters Mimimi in the hall and they have a heart-to-heart and thanks her for stepping in while Rentaro is away for making Usa-chan feel not so lonely, to where Mimimi asks if she'd like to attend the restroom to hang out, but is now setting up boundaries asking Usa-chan to not follow her into the stall, which is something I didn't point out in that montage earlier because I didn't notice it in my initial read either. Because, wow. Yeah, even following her into the stall, that is quite something. Also, excuse me 1 second as I turn this image of Usa-chan in my Discord profile image, and there we go. Moving on to the review, I adore this chapter. I love chapters that delve into a character, and when you have a character like this dealing with real issues that probably many of us suffer from, it makes it all the better when we have a character we can relate somewhat to. Just hoping that none of us are as clingy as Usa-chan though. Outside of the relatable character story and the good laughs at her extreme clinginess, this chapter also had a lot of great tidbits expanding on other characters. Like I mentioned the new backstory we have on Mimimi and her tofu lineage. Also, this just goes to show how non-serious this manga will always be. This could have easily been a chapter where everyone legitimately gets upset at Usa-chan's clinginess, and they have a bit of a falling out or whatever that they need to work on. But no, in 100 Girlfriends, everyone makes everything work and they are all happy to go to whatever lengths they can to make everyone in the family happy, to the point it's almost unrealistic. But I guess that's the point when you're supposed to be a fluffy and cozy series like this. They friendly bicker all the time for comedic purposes in this manga, but it never gets that serious. Which, I get why, this is supposed to be an easy laid-back enjoyable read of a manga. You're not reading this for drama. But I would be interested in getting a little drama from time to time, like the chapter we had with Shizuka's mom. I am curious though as to why the author chose to make Mimimi the focal point of this story and forge this bond with Usa. It could have been just about anyone in the family. Maybe it's the fact they are the only second years of the family currently, but that feels very surface level on why they decided to use Mimimi for this. Leave your ideas as to why in the comments below. And that's about it. A wonderfully fun and sweet character development chapter for Usa-chan and Mimimi. And even better, it seems like we are getting another Rentaro's family daily life in the next chapter. Those are a personal favorite of mine, and it'll be interesting to write a review for one of those. Though that will be 2 weeks from now as Japan is celebrating Golden Week this week. So happy Golden Week to anyone watching who may be celebrating. And go buy some Japanese games from Golden Week sales on Steam or the PlayStation or Xbox Store or something if you aren't in Japan. This break from the chapter release works out perfectly for me too, as I am deep in editing the Chapter 1 dub that I announced in the last video. It's still on track to release sometime in early May. Hope you're all looking forward to it. It's been fun revisiting Chapter 1 and seeing how much has changed since then in these 174 chapters since then, especially in the art department and the writing. Hope you all enjoyed, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you wish to see me continue doing these and be notified when the Chapter 1 dub goes live. And thank you all who have tuned in and subscribed already. This channel is growing at a pace we here at A Slice of Gaming are really happy about. See you all in the next 100 Girlfriends video.